The American dream is slipping away. Housing prices have skyrocketed beyond what most families can afford. The median home price now exceeds $450,000 in many areas, requiring nearly double the average household income to afford. Two-thirds of Americans can no longer afford a single-family home at today's prices. In 1981, the median age of home buyers was 31. Today, it's 61. An entire generation is being priced out of homeownership. The housing crisis stems from three critical factors. First, a severe supply shortage. The U.S. has built millions fewer homes than needed, with the lowest construction rates since the 1960s. High construction costs, expensive land, and labor shortages make building new homes increasingly difficult. Restrictive zoning laws limit the types and density of housing that can be built. Minimum lot sizes and prohibitions on multifamily housing drive up prices. The mortgage lock-in effect keeps existing homeowners from selling, as they don't want to give up their low-rate mortgages. This further restricts the supply of available homes. Meanwhile, demand is surging. The massive millennial generation is entering prime home buying years. Older Americans are staying in their homes longer, reducing available inventory. Institutional investors buying homes for flipping or renting reduce the pool available to individual buyers. This investor activity further intensifies competition for limited housing stock. The third factor, stagnant wages. Housing costs have risen far faster than incomes for most Americans. Low-income families are hit hardest, struggling to find housing within their financial reach. Unaffordable housing has devastating economic consequences. High housing costs prevent families from saving and investing. People can't access opportunities in higher wage areas where housing is most expensive. The housing shortage costs the U.S. economy an estimated $2 trillion annually in lower wages and productivity. This impacts overall GDP growth and national competitiveness. Housing costs disproportionately affect low-income and minority populations, increasing inequality. Housing instability negatively impacts children's health and educational outcomes. Unaffordable housing increases homelessness and strains public services. Workers can't move to areas with better job opportunities due to housing costs. This affects their ability to use their skills effectively and impacts national productivity. Solving this crisis requires urgent action. First, we must increase housing supply through zoning reform. Reducing restrictive zoning rules that limit density can allow for more housing construction. Allowing multifamily dwellings and accessory dwelling units increases housing options. Streamlining approval processes reduces construction timelines and costs. Incentivizing development near transit and jobs creates more efficient communities. We need expanded funding for affordable housing programs like the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit. Programs like the National Housing Trust Fund can finance creation and preservation of affordable housing. We must also address unique housing challenges in tribal communities. Innovation in construction, like factory-built and modular housing, can reduce costs and speed up building. These methods can make housing more affordable and faster to build. Reinvesting in public housing and supporting community land trusts can create long-term affordability. These models help preserve affordability for future generations. Second, we must expand access and affordability. Increasing funding for housing choice vouchers helps low-income families afford private market housing. Providing rental assistance in LIHTC units makes them truly accessible to very low-income households. Down payment assistance and mortgage support help first-time buyers overcome financial hurdles. This relieves pressure on the rental market and builds generational wealth. Tax policy reforms like converting homeowner deductions to refundable credits can provide greater relief to low-income homeowners. This ensures housing support reaches those who need it most. Tenant protections and stabilization funds help maintain housing security. Right of first purchase policies and eviction protections prevent displacement. Enforcing fair housing laws and promoting equitable access to opportunity-rich neighborhoods addresses historical inequalities. This ensures housing opportunities are available to all Americans. California exemplifies this national crisis. The median household income in California is $91,000, while the median home price exceeds $900,000. According to various reports in 2025, California faces a significant housing deficit, particularly for low-income renters. Estimates for the total housing deficit vary, but multiple sources point to a severe shortage. A McKinsey & Company report suggests California needed to build 3.5 million homes by 2025 to satisfy pent-up demand and meet population needs. In addition to the fact that essential workers such as teachers, nurses, and first responders increasingly cannot afford to live in the communities they serve. The high cost of housing in California is a major driver of several crises, such as high rates of homelessness and cost-burdened households. Many Californians are unable to afford a home, driving up demand for rentals. Several factors contribute to the housing deficit, including restrictive zoning laws, community opposition to new development, NIMBYism, environmental regulations like CEQA, high land and construction costs, and the state's tax structure. It is particularly expensive to build affordable housing in California, with costs exceeding those in other states. This is attributed to factors like land costs, construction expenses, soft costs, fees, permits, etc., and regulatory requirements. Although California faces a significant and multifaceted housing deficit driven by a combination of high demand, limited supply, and various barriers to construction and affordability, the state leaders has always responded by setting up ambitious housing production goals. A community where most families and individuals cannot afford decent housing to live is not economically sustainable. Businesses can't hire, services struggle to find staff, and essential workers will be forced to reside miles away. Prioritizing or building more affordable homes in our neighborhoods can lead to a virtuous cycle of both neighborhood stabilization and good-paying jobs for workers seeking better pay. Given that when housing is too scarce, and therefore too expensive, people with little or no income are more likely to find themselves on the street. And because the vision of owning their own home is at the heart of the American dream, the sense of stability that comes with owning your own personal home, along with the ability to provide for your family, has inspired generations of Americans. The choice is ours. We can choose to take a broad range of actions to both spur the development of housing and protect vulnerable and low-income Americans from ending up in our streets, and build a resilient, equitable, and economically vibrant society, or ignore the problem while the consequences, homelessness and many others, drag on the economy and negatively affect nearly every person, business, and institution in America. Like, subscribe, and share this video.